In this video, I will use the living statue from Dragon Quest Monsters as a Pokémon in Emerald. The living statue, or Stone Hulk in some games, is the boss of the Strength Gate in the original Terry's Wonderland on GBC, but not the 3DS remake for some reason. He has great HP, attack, and defense, but abysmal speed, and his MP got nerfed in the remake as well. As a Pokémon, he will have 104 base HP, 103 attack, 124 defense, 74 special attack, 80 special defense, and 41 speed, for a total of 526. These are derived from an average of his GBC stats and 3DS stats, weighted more in favor of the former. Since the original DQM games use lookup tables instead of a formula to calculate stat growth, the rate of which can vary greatly at different levels, the conversion won't be exactly faithful. Also, higher index numbers don't always mean better stats, and in this case, 10 is better than 14. His level-up moves are based on his default barricade skill set in the 3DS remake, but since this set contains 0 offensive skills, I had to give him a few damaging moves to beat the game. Some of those moves are copied straight from later gens, and causes because I don't think I've ever used Sizz spells in my previous runs. I will set up a living statue with perfect IVs and pre-applied EVs. He will have a neutral nature, because I can edit the base stats directly to make adjustments if necessary. He's a stone statue in the material family, so the rock type is obvious. But solo rock is really bad, so I also gave him the psychic typing due to his glowing eyes and the way he looks in general. This might have made him even worse, but I hope not. He gets a trait that occasionally buffs his defense in battle, so I integrated this effect into his moves that don't already have an additional effect, like Rock Throw and Power Gem. Affected moves are in caps. I decided to not go max speed, since he needs both attacks due to his shallow move pool, and I gave him Rock Polish to boost his speed when needed. He levels up at a medium rate in both the original games and TW3D, and seeing as his stat total is similar to the starters, I put him in the same experience group as them. This group levels up quickly early on and gradually slows down, but it never gets as slow as the 1.25 million group. It's basically the standard group, with an early acceleration. I was already level 18 after beating all the available trainers before Roxanne, but I had no good moves to use against her. Fortunately, I was getting defense boosts with Rock Throw, so her Pokémon couldn't do much to me either. The AI treats Rock Tomb as a speed debuff in these games, instead of a damaging attack, and it's a terrible move in this gen, with only 50 power and 80% accuracy. Although the ROM patch I'm using has updated most moves to their Gen 5 stats, Rock Tomb wasn't buffed until Gen 6. Here's an optional rival battle in Emerald. I gave her Torchic just so she would end up with a better team, as the other two starters will put an awful Slugma on her team that never evolves. Slugma is one of the worst Pokémon ever made, and Magcargo is arguably even worse. They put a few more trainers in Brawly's gym, probably because they realized there was nowhere to grind on the island, but he's never been very hard in the first place. Low Kick and Grass not do damage based on the target's weight, which is editable, and I made the living statue quite heavy. But I had good defense and a buff from Cosmic Power, and the psychic typing nullified my fighting weakness. I made the bulk up TM compatible, and I think I will need it for some of the late game battles, as I have no other ways to boost my offensive stats. I will save it until it's needed, since TMs are not reusable in this gen. Power Gem is a special rock move from Gen 4 with no secondary effects, and it isn't actually learned by many rock types. Its power was only 70 in Gen 4 and 5, and it wasn't buffed to 80 until Gen 6. The rival fights in these games have never been any challenge in solo runs, and Emerald runs are long enough as is, so I'll probably just skip them in future videos to save time. Watson got a bit of a nerf in Emerald. His Magneton lost 2 levels, as its top spot was taken by a new Manectric, which is a glass cannon and much easier to deal with than a steel type that resists most early game moves. I had to equip a Cherry Berry for paralysis, and learn Rock Smash to hit his Magneton. It was buffed to 40 power in Gen 5, making it slightly more usable, but it's still a bad move. The Barricade set in DQM contains Counterattack and Bounce, which are better versions of the Counter and Mirror code in Pokémon, since you reflect the attacks without taking damage. They'd be extremely OP in Pokémon though, where most battles are one-on-one. Anyway, I got a defense drop on his Magneton, making my second hit a one-shot, and I got a crit on his Manectric. Flannery has probably received the biggest buff in Emerald, as she now has a Camerupt with Sunny Day, and her Torkoal now holds a white herb to reset the special attack drop from Overheat. It could be a hard fight in a solo run if you can't one-shot them, but thankfully, all of her Pokémon are dreadfully slow, and I have Stab Power Gem to hit the Torkoal's much lower special defense. Norman wasn't much of a challenge this time either, as I resist normal moves. His first slacking in Ruby and Sapphire was replaced by Spinda and Linoon, both of which are terrible Pokémon, but slacking could also be free for anything with Protect or moves like Dig. I equipped a Chesto Berry for Yawn on his remaining slacking, and I had Rock Polish to outspeed it. Rock Polish is just an agility with fewer PP, but I guess agility doesn't make sense on heavy rock types. There's another Steel-type move called Autotomize that also halves the user's weight, but that's actually a bad thing considering most Steel types use Heavy Slam or Gyro Ball for stab damage. Causes is the Tier 3 Sizz spell that hits all targets, and I made it a clone of Dazzling Gleam from Gen 6, since all of those spells are pretty bad until Tier 4. Frizz and Sizz were the same element in the original GBC games, but they were separated in the remakes. I gave it the Psychic type instead of Fire, because there are already too many Fire moves, yet too few Psychic moves in this gen. Besides, Sizz was changed to the Light element in Joker 3, but the Fairy type didn't exist until Gen 6. The rival battle is just a sad joke at this point, and her team would probably have trouble with even the wild Pokémon in the area. Winona now has a Swablu that knows Perish Song, but it's too fragile and underleveled to get a chance to use it. They could have had her lead with a Skarmory and open with Sand Attack, just so you might miss against the Swablu, but these games weren't designed with solo runs in mind. I didn't expect Power Gem to one-shot the Altaria, but again, I was 18 levels higher with Stab. Gym leaders and other bosses have EVs according to the ROM editor, but probably not perfect IVs, and I don't know how they are distributed. This is the last rival battle, and she still doesn't even have a fully evolved starter. But at least by starting with Torchic, she gets 3 other fully evolved Pokémon, even though 2 of them were just fought at the Flying Gym. I don't know if you can rematch the rival in the post-game in Emerald, and I can't be bothered to find out. I got rid of Rock Smash to learn Strength for better neutral damage, and that's just how bad my move pool was. I gave Stone Edge to the living statue over Rock Slide because his attack isn't very good, and I need the extra power for the later battles, but its shaky accuracy could prove to be a problem. Stone Edge is just a clone of Cross Chop, but it wasn't added until Gen 4, and that means Rock had no moves above 75 power in Gen 3, excluding high rolls on Rock Blast. Here's an additional area in Emerald where you fight Maxie for the second time. He has the same team as he did in Ruby, just at lower levels, and none of his Pokémon have a custom move set, so they only know what they'd naturally learn at their respective levels. They should have at least given his Camerupt Eruption for the sake of it, although it's too slow to ever get it off at full HP. I was slower than his Crobat, but luckily, it didn't confuse or stun me, or it could have gotten annoying. I will need to relearn Rock Polish at some point, and I will definitely need it to have any chance at beating Steven. You need a second Pokémon to fight the Psychic Gym, and since I was weak to Earthquake, I brought a Flying type, so their Claydol wouldn't open with it. The enemy AI heavily prioritizes taking KOs, so chances are both their Hatu and Claydol would target the filler with Psychic. I equipped a Chesto Berry for their Lunatone's Hypnosis, just in case Stone Edge misses, as we all know that Pokémon moves have either 100% accuracy, or 50%, unless used by the AI. Anyway, I was getting defense boosts from Power Gem, so Earthquake from the Claydol did almost nothing, and I'm sure it wouldn't have attack EV either. It did manage to land a crit, but I still wasn't in any danger since its base attack is pretty awful at only 70. My Stone Edge luckily didn't miss, and it took out the Lunatone in one hit as its physical defense is actually really bad. The AI in these older games simply wasn't sophisticated enough to reactively respond to your moves. As you can see here, the Claydol used Light Screen instead of Reflect after I hit it with a physical move. I made the Calm Mind TM compatible, but I don't think I'll need it since I don't have any good special moves. The Psychic Gym was just a standard double battle, despite it having 2 leaders, but here's a mandatory multi-battle in Emerald with Steven as your partner. It can get pretty annoying, since the enemies love to confuse you, and the friendly AI is terrible. The bad partner AI is by design, to make the multi-battle mode in the battle tower artificially harder, as I believe it pays the most points for maintaining a winning streak. Also, in the 3rd gen only, AoE moves have their power halved when hitting both opponents, except the few that have friendly fire as a part of their effect, like Earthquake. In Gen 4 and beyond, all AoE moves do 75% damage when hitting multiple targets, ally or enemy. Anyway, I equipped a Persim Berry for confusion, and I was getting defense boosts from my ability, so it turned out to be quite easy this time, even though I was weak to Earthquake. I got rid of Strength and replaced Causes with Zen Headbutt, which is one of the only 3 physical psychic moves until Gen 7, with the other 2 being Psycho Cut and Heart Stamp. The latter is only learned by 3 or 4 Pokémon. Zen Headbutt is not a good move though, since it's just a worse waterfall without perfect accuracy, but at least it's physical with stab. I had to equip another Persim Berry for the Archie battle, as all 3 of his Pokémon know moves that can confuse. I was slower than both his Crobat and Sharpedo, even with a 20 level lead, and Persim Berry would only work once, so I still had to get lucky with the confusion checks. But fortunately, I was pretty bulky, and his Pokémon didn't have custom movesets, so they were basically wild Pokémon with some EVs. I thought Juan would be hard for once, considering my low speed and water weakness, but no, he was still a pushover, as always, due in part to the fact that Water Pulse is simply a horrendous move for this late in the game. It does have a 20% chance to confuse, but I could just equip another Persim Berry. His leading Love Disc decided to attack for chip damage instead of using Sweet Kiss, and his Kingdra could have caused a lot of trouble, as it got a double team in after my Zen Headbutt missed. But, for some stupid reason, he switched it for the Whiscash instead of spamming double team and using Rest, and that essentially through the fight he could easily have won. Yeah, the AI in this gen isn't great, to put it lightly. Wally challenges you at the entrance of Victory Road in Emerald, not the exit, and this allows you to fight him with full HP and PP. I don't know how I outran his Altaria without much speed EV. I always thought it was pretty fast, but I guess not, and I'm not too familiar with the base stats of these awful Pokémon that nobody ever uses. I had nothing good against his Magneton, but it doesn't have a lot of HP, and it can't actually learn any steel moves in this gen, as Flash Cannon and Magnet Bomb didn't exist, and it obviously doesn't have any claws, wings, or a tail. Here are my stats and moves going into the Pokémon League. I have a lot of HP and great physical stats, but my speed is terrible as I didn't put much EV into it. My move pool is very limited, and I might have trouble with Drake and Wallace without Rock Polish, but I'll just see how it goes first. Drain Punch is a fighting type clone of Giga Drain, and since the ROM patch uses Gen 5 stats for most moves, plus it's my only form of recovery outside of Rest, I gave it 75 power and 10 PP. The only Pokémon on Sydney's team that has EV and speed seems to be the Shiftry. His AI heavily prioritizes ailments and stat changes on the first turn, and it just gave me a free attack buff with Swagger since I had a Persim Berry for confusion. Absol might look fast, but its base speed is only 75, and this one doesn't actually know any dark-type attacks, or Mega Horn, which it probably can't even learn in Gen 3. Phoebe is usually where the problem lies in solo runs, thanks to Curse on her leading Dusclops. I made a mistake here and picked Zen Headbutt for the chance to stun, as I didn't think Stone Edge would one-shot it. I didn't get the stun, and that allowed it to curse me. It's actually possible to survive the battle with a curse if your max HP isn't divisible by 4 and you one-shot everything, but unfortunately, my Stone Edge missed her last Pokémon, as it tends to do at the worst moments. All I had to do in my second attempt was one-shot her first Dusclops with Stone Edge. It might have 130 base defense and possibly maxed EV, but its HP is abysmal, and I was over 20 levels higher with maxed attack as well. Its pressure ability combined with Protect could be annoying when you have moves with few PP, and my Stone Edge ran out on her second Dusclops. It wasn't a big deal though, since it doesn't have Curse or anything dangerous. I misclicked on Zen Headbutt against her Sableye, but again, it couldn't do much. Gen 3 only introduced 3 Ice-type families, one of which is the legendary Regice, and it didn't bring back any of the previous ones like Cloyster and Piloswine. Because of this, Glacia doesn't even have enough fully evolved Pokémon to make a team, and I suppose they didn't want to give her water types as filler because there's still Wallace. She was obviously a free win, since her Walrein couldn't one-shot me even with a critical Surf, and it wouldn't fish for a freeze with Blizzard because of my water weakness. I learned Bulk Up for Drake, who could be a problem, considering everything on his team except the Shelgon would easily outspeed me, and his Pokémon have moves like Earthquake and Surf. Fortunately, his Shelgon is just a setup fodder when you don't care about speed, as it would just spam Rock Tomb until you become slower. Crunch is now physical like it should be, and it did nothing after I got a few bulk up boosts. His Salamence clearly didn't have Hydro Pump, or it would have used it instead. His Kingdra lowered my accuracy with Smokescreen, but my Drain Punch didn't miss and took it out in one hit. His Flygon's Earthquake did nothing due to my boosted defense, and Altaria is just a bad Pokémon that can't do damage without a lot of setups. I had a Cherry Berry for the potential paralysis as well. Wallace is arguably the worst champion across all generations, but this time, I'm slow and weak to water, which is definitely not a good combination. I equipped a Citrus Berry for some extra recovery, and the best I could do was try to set up on his Wailord. I had to attack it first to not eat a full power Water Spout, but it threw a wrench in my plans by opening with Rain Dance. This made Water Spout hit hard even at yellow HP, and Citrus Berry only heals a flat 30 HP in this gen, not 25% of maximum like in later games, so I had no way to stall out the rain. He sent out the Tentacruel next, which easily outsped me, and I obviously couldn't survive a rain-boosted Hydro Pump at half HP. This meant I'd have to either respec EVs and max out my speed, or relearn Rock Polish. I went with the latter since I'd still need Rock Polish to outrun most of Steven's Pokémon anyway. My second attempt started with me missing a Stone Edge and his Wailord missing a Blizzard. My second one didn't miss and didn't one-shot it, which was exactly what I wanted, as he would spend a turn healing and give me a chance to set up. Plus one attack should be able to one-shot everything on his team with Stone Edge, as long as it doesn't miss too many times. This fight became pretty easy as soon as I was able to go first. His Ludicolo and Whiscash had enough bulk to survive a hit, but they didn't do much and I was never in any danger. There was still the ultimate challenge in Emerald awaiting at the Meteor Falls, and I wasn't too confident I could beat Steven's team, because of my horrible typing and coverage. I had to sacrifice 2 move slots to bulk up and Rock Polish as well, which meant all I had to attack with were the non-stab Drain Punch and the awfully inaccurate Stone Edge. My concerns turned out to be right, and this battle took me at least 8 tries, probably more, but I'd lost count. To put it bluntly, it was a completely luck-based fight, because everything had to go just right for me at his leading Skarmory. Since the Pecha Berry only works once, and there was no possible way I could survive the entire battle being toxicated, what must happen was me getting 4 turns to use a Rock Polish and 3 bulk-ups. And then I still had to roll good damage or a crit on Stone Edge, as it was not a guaranteed one-shot at +3. This battle I'm showing here was about as lucky as I could ask for, as I basically got through the Skarmory on full HP. At +3 defense with Drain Punch, I was pretty much immune to physical, but I still wasn't home free since the enemies could crit me, and there was still the Claydol to deal with. I had a few runs ended at the Claydol due to its resistances and Reflect, which allowed it to fish for boosts with Ancient Power or crits with Earthquake. After that, the Aggron was free, as it would just pick Solar Beam even if it didn't have a double fighting weakness, and the Metagross was very much free as well, since its Shadow Ball couldn't do enough even with a crit. A critical Meteor Mash might, but his AI wouldn't pick it when my defense was boosted. So, if anything, this run just shows how important the speed stat is in Pokémon games. A lot of otherwise powerful Pokémon have been relegated to the trash tier only because their speed is bad, or just weird. Thanks for watching.